E3 is a massive gaming conference whereby every single year, every major company from around the world comes together and talks about their products and tries to sell it to us as the consumers or to businesses in general. So for me, I love E3. I spend every E3, very sadly, waking up at like 4 a.m. to watch the conferences live. I like getting involved in the hype.
Because there was one not long ago. Was that E3 or was that something else?
Depends what you're going to say. Might be the Game Awards.
Maybe a month ago.
Game Awards.
Maybe.
Yeah. So Game Awards announced a couple of games there.
Because a couple of podcasts ago, I remember we were talking about it. I just can't remember.
But E3 is June, July every year. I think I'm right in saying that. May, June, July sort of time. And they will announce loads. You'll usually have a stage for Sony, a stage for Microsoft, a stage for Nintendo. Ubisoft will have one. EA will have one.
Yeah.
And maybe like Bethesda will have one, and a couple of
so
other
usually have
other ones as well.
Or Elder Scrolls.
Or something coming out, or like Wolfenstein and stuff like that. So last year, Sony didn't go to E3, which for me made the conference a bit less exciting.
Naughty Dog will have one this year if they got Last of Us coming out. But then if
they're
that's
all
in June,
they're all
out in May.
But they're PlayStation exclusives, so they're under the PlayStation radar.
Yeah.
Where like with the Microsoft studios, which off the top of my head I can't think of the names of them, but they all go to the Microsoft stage, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's all Microsoft products, and like Media Molecule, for example, PlayStation owned. Dreams is coming out this month, so they would all be on the PlayStation stage. But PlayStation didn't do it last year, and they've also said that they're not going to do it this year. Which, do you think that's a good move or not? Try and forget what I mentioned before we start the recording, because I'll pick that up in a minute about the cost. Do you think missing out on the biggest stage to advertise your games and your new console coming out at the end of this year is a good idea?
Well, I mean, I know that we briefly spoke about it, but yeah, there are alternative methods now, aren't there? So it's kind of like, well, okay.
But on face value, it's not a good thing to do because everyone's at E3. All eyes are on gaming that weekend.
I mean, if you were to flip it to another situation, so about maybe a month ago, they have that technology convention.
Yeah.
Where say
the one where
if Google
did the Cybertruck, did they? Was that the one?
Don't know, but they had. The one thing I remember is that it was like a microwave, but the opposite. You instantly cool stuff instead of...
sick.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's well cool.
Yeah.
Hold on then.
So, they've had this convention, and you sort of think, right, okay, if Google are going, then Apple will go. Yeah. And if Apple are going, Tesla will go. And if,
Microsoft will go, and
So, you sort of think, okay, E3, Sony would be the same, right? It would be...
If everyone else is going, I've got to be there.
But, obviously what you were saying earlier, it's kind of like, well, I'm not surprised.
Well, yes, essentially what I said before we recorded this podcast was the reason why Sony are missing out, and this is just, the figures might not be exact, because I'm kind of picking this from memory from a podcast I listened to like a week and a bit ago, but I was listening to the Kind of Funny Games Daily, and they mentioned that there actually is a massive cost to have a stage at E3. So I heard a figure of £8 million just to have a stage for your press conference.
I'm assuming that's for the whole weekend.
Yeah, so you pay for the show
still
floor.
A lot, but yeah.
You pay for the show floor, and you also pay for your hour and a half coverage.
TED
Talk-esque sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Your actual press conference. So
seminar, I guess.
It's like a seminar. They call it a press conference.
Oh, right.
So like
that's what it is.
All the press go there. They all watch what's happening, and they spread it like wildfire across the internet. It's essentially what happens.
I mean, yeah.
But the cost of that is mental.
Yeah. When Skyrim came out, I'm pretty sure that was sort of how they released it.
Mm-hmm. Because that used to be how news got around.
Yeah.
Because you go to E3 and that'll be it.
All the new FIFAs, they'll tell you all the features in E3.
Yeah, there'll be E3 and then there'll be Gamescom, which is in Germany.
It's like,
where they all
do
that sort of stuff.
Instead of... You don't see as many TV adverts anymore for FIFA.
No.
You see people like Road to Shore or Bateson.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't play FIFA. I don't know who these people are.
For example, okay, all right, Call of Duty. Then you go right. Okay, Myth. You're gonna play. You're gonna stream COD. Syndicate. You're gonna stream COD. Vicstar. You're gonna stream COD. Zerka. You're gonna stream COD. That's how you sell it nowadays.
Yeah, because that's where the eyes are.
When it obviously closer to the time, that will be what they'll probably do. Is to say, I mean, any games in particular that you think of.
So off the top of my head right now, I mean, it's rumoured that Sony are going to do what they call a state of play, which is essentially a live stream onto the Sony channels across the internet for the PlayStation 5 reveal.
Yeah, so what I mean is like games that will be coming out in September, because that's probably what June, July is going to be doing.
Yeah, so for me, it is heavily rumoured. I mean, there's one called Godfall, which has already been announced for PS5.
Yeah.
And that'll be coming out at the launch of PS5.
Closer to the time, you'll have people playing it on Twitch or YouTube, whatever. I think for any announcement they can make, I don't think people are necessarily going to the conferences anymore. It's very much live streaming.
Yeah.
So like you rightly said like before we started, why would you pay the money when people can just watch it for free online?
Yeah, so if they're essentially... What they do now is they do little state of plays, they call it, throughout the year, which are just little shows about what's happening in the next few months. Now, they'll probably do one either February, March time, or they're going to do one near at E3, which will be a big, like, this is what's happening with PlayStation 5.
What they'll probably do, which would make sense, is say E3, I don't know what the date is, but say it's July the 1st.
Yeah.
Right? Sony, what they probably will do is create some hype about 2 weeks before about all these announcements they've got.
Yeah.
And then a few days before, steal the limelight and go, right, Twitch stream or YouTube stream or stream, like you say, everywhere. And just say, this is our state of play, basically.
This is what's going to happen.
Because everyone will be talking about E3, and then it'll be like, oh, bang, Sony have got a load of announcements. And basically they're then feeding off the back of...
They're feeding off the hype of E3 without paying to be at E3.
Yeah.
And it is ideal for them. And I think that it's so much easier to stream announcements than it is to go and make a massive conference. But they can do a conference. They can go and hire a conference hall. That it just isn't at E3. There's venues all over the world they could do this in and then stream it.
Yeah.
They can do it their own way. That's what EA do essentially. They don't have somewhere at the booth at E3. They actually do it in a seminar place across the road.
But the selling point of E3 is that you go there to find out about it because that's like your hot press. Whereas now it's all streamed, so you're there anyway.
Yeah. So essentially, I think EA,
unless you're a fanatic about E3, no point going.
No, and personally, obviously I'd never go anyway because it's America, but for me, the hype is sitting at home and watching it and being on Twitter and being in comments of people's YouTube streams, whatever it might be, and just loving it as a massive fan base. That's where the big hype comes for me.